to another episode of the Quotes and Mirrors podcast. I am Tyrell James.
And I am Uncommonterry with the common code, but I'm going to be all right tonight. How's everybody doing? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing other than not feeling well?
All right, well, I'm feeling better, yo. This tea is delicious. I don't know what she did exactly, but Lord have mercy, this tea is delicious. All right, but in between sips, we're going to go ahead and get some conversation going on.
Yeah.
Quotes and Mirrors podcast. Welcome. If you have not been here before, what we do is we pick a quote and then we reflect upon that quote. Name's pretty self-explanatory, right? Also pretty dope. Yeah, it's a play on smoke and mirrors, and if you got that, then that's why you're here, because you got the same mind that we got. You should be listening to us talk. Shh. It's our turn. All right. So. All right. We do go back and forth choosing the quotes. Last week, it was light skin's turn. This week, it's so many. It's not my fault you're light skinned.
I'm not light skinned.
I mean, at least in comparison.
In comparison.
You gotta give me that.
But it's more about you than it is about me, though. Like, that's in comparison is because you're so dark.
I mean, all right. Whatever the case, as long as you end up light skinned in the end, then I'm good to go. All right. But he did. So I'm sorry. Terrell picked the quote last week.
Man, don't call me that. That's
I'm just reading the screen.
Okay. Just don't read the screen. No, that's
I'm reading the screen and relating to the audience. They gotta know you was Terrell.
Yeah. All right. I ain't calling you on commentary, you know.
That's true. That's true. Good point. All right. And point taken. You are indeed T all over again. So it was my week, or is my week, to go ahead and pick the quotes. You can see it scrolling across the bottom. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. By an individual, well, I'm going to call him H&M.
No, go ahead. Try.
That could be Haruki, Harukai, Haruka, Murakami. See, I tried to stop H&M.
Gesundheit.
No disrespect, sir. In the event you are amongst the living, but
yeah, I didn't like one of them samurai sword wielding fellas. So yeah. No disrespect.
Yeah, no doubt. But pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. I chose this quote. It actually, believe it or not, while I was writing down a list of what I thought was original quotes myself, I actually wrote down that pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice.
Wow.
Yeah, but when I I tend to, I guess you could say, fact check it. I'll Google it to see if somebody else has already said, and this came up, of course. So, but I think it's
Hold on, I'm sorry. I want to cut you off real quick before we get into the quote. I do just want to let everybody know that we do have a Quotes and Mirrors book that is coming. And you reminded me just now when you were talking about your original quotes. So what we're doing is I have 25 original quotes, uncommentary, whatever. 25 original quotes, and along with those quotes will come a brief explanation of what these quotes mean. But yes, the Quotes and Mirrors book is coming soon. So
word up. Always promoting and doing something, ain't you?
Always. I don't know what's wrong with me. That's just crazy. I'm just always promoting something.
The rest of us just along for the ride. Brother.
That is just crazy.
Yo, that tea is delicious. Okay. So, all right, here we are. Again, pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Somebody just walked in. Yes, it was a blessing there. I was thoroughly distracted. Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Thank you very much. I appreciate you having to scroll across the bottom of the screen because my wife just stepped in and she is Something to see. Well, I tell you what. Anyway, so
yeah, don't.
Yeah, I won't go down that rabbit hole.
All right.
So, yeah, just talking, just thinking about it. It's kind of an interesting thing because, like, I really kind of was leaning on whether or not the suffering was an optional situation. So, because it's pain, like, and you're gonna go through pain, you're gonna go through something one way or the other. And so, y'all, excuse me again, I do have the common cold. But you're gonna go through something. So I was really thinking about whether or not suffering is actually optional, is actually a choice. Because so let me ask you, how do you have pain and not suffer from that pain? Or you think, or is it even possible?
I think so. What I think is that pain is the initial reaction. Suffering is what happens after the initial reaction.
Hold on. So pain is a reaction.
Well, pain, there's cause and effect. Like if something hurts you, it hurts. Like
right. But I mean, I think that's an interesting statement that pain is a reaction.
Yeah.
Versus
Pain,
versus the result of. You know what I mean? I mean, I might be.
Okay. No, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. All right. So let me try to reword it. Well, I'll tell you what, let me explain what this means to me. So the way I took this is I told somebody one time, I said, you know what, you are responsible for the shots that you take at me, but I'm responsible for how they land. I'm responsible for whether or not it hurts. No, I'm sorry. I'm responsible for whether or not there is a long-lasting effect. So you could say something that could be painful, right? But it's up to me to determine how I process that pain. So if I decide that this ain't gonna hurt no more, that I have the option to not suffer as a result of the pain, the inevitable pain that you inflicted upon me.
Mm-hmm. The inevitable pain that you inflict. Okay. So let's back up to the first part of that. Do you believe that pain is inevitable? No matter what, at some point in time, you're gonna hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think pain, not only do I believe that pain is inevitable, I think that it's necessary.
Oh, necessary.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is it necessary?
I think that there's a lot of growth and wisdom in pain.
I mean, but you could watch somebody else hurt. Why you guys?
But it's not going to affect you the same way. But see, but pain, you
but
got to understand.
It didn't say your pain is inevitable, right?
Right. But the thing is, if you need to grow, all right, put it this way. How many times have we watched somebody
Don't spit it out.
Ooh.
All right, we don't want no dead air, man. Don't make me just whistle in the background. What's going on?
Just whistle until I figure out how to not put my foot in my mouth. So now I'm losing my now I'm losing my thought.
That means you probably weren't supposed to say what you was gonna say anyway.
I wasn't. And can't believe I was about to say it.
All right.
Like for a second, I forgot that this was a podcast and thought I was just talking to you. Like,
all right. Well, where we were was that pain is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And it don't have to be your pain, or excuse me. Well, I was saying it don't have to be your pain. Go ahead.
So, and I'm gonna come back to that in a second. But as far as pain being necessary, for instance, if you break your leg, you have to experience pain in order to know that something is wrong. So in that aspect, pain is necessary. It's necessary so that you can go get that issue fixed. But so now if we translate that to, let's say, just emotional things or even mental issues or whatever. There are there are painful things that will happen to let us know that it's time to grow. It's discomfort, and all discomfort is it's a signal for us to adjust.
So pain is necessary for growth.
I believe that certain pains are necessary for growth and for wisdom.
Necessary, not
Yeah,
just good for or possibly healthy, but necessary. Necessary being
necessary.
needed, like cannot do without.
Right. Yeah. I believe a lot of the things that I've gone through were necessary because there was a bigger plan, because the plan was so much bigger than me. The way that I'm able to counsel people and to be there for people, um, a lot of that didn't come from any of the studying that I've done of psychology or even with me, on the path to become a doctor of metaphysics and philosophy. Like the things that I've learned from there, a lot of this stuff was just really on the job training, honestly. This is me being thrown to the wolves. This is me having to deal with life and a lot of the pain that I had to endure. So because of that, before the classes, before even well, I can't really say before studying psychology because I've been studying psychology since I was like 15. But there's so many things that
You
I
sure
got.
you haven't just been being studied by psychologists since you was
Yeah, 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 that too. That
okay?
too.
All
As a
right,
matter
no.
of fact, I never really formally studied psychology. I didn't study it in school. I studied it on my own, but I was also studying as I was sitting in front of one of my 8 therapists that I've had. So they over there taking notes. I'm over here taking notes. So, but a lot of the things, a lot, there's a lot of the pain that I've had to endure. I because of that, I have been able to be there for other people. And I just felt that it was necessary because there was a bigger plan. Now, going back to the quote though, the
Mhm.
pain that I dealt with as a result of the things that happened to me, that pain was inevitable. But I could have made the decision to just let those things control my life. I could have just worn that pain for the rest of my life, but I chose not to. I chose to allow those things to make me better. I chose to grow from it, and I chose to look for the wisdom in the pain.
Okay. I thought I had my phone with me. Can we
You want me to look up something? I got my.
yeah, let's define suffer.
Oh, I can tell you that, man. Suffering is what we have done as Commanders fans for a really long time, up until now.
Well, I'm trying to see if it truly is a negative word or does it just more often than not carry a negative connotation.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. I just
You know
want to
what
point out that as Commanders fans are no longer suffering.
I mean? Yo, didn't
All
y'all,
right,
y'all just picked up somebody new from I heard it, but you know what? My
Debo
bad.
Samuels.
I don't know. That's what I was gonna say. My bad.
Right.
There's no
All right.
real point in me
I
talking
know.
about that.
I
You
know.
know, for those of y'all that don't know, yeah, I don't watch football, sports, or any other sports. I'm a fan of my family, and they happen to be fans of Commanders. So,
Yes. Yeah. So, but all right. So I got the definition here. So suffering refers to the state of experiencing pain, distress, or hardships, whether physical or mental, and can manifest in anguish, misery, or agony.
okay, so it's definitely a negative situation.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, so
I have
definitely.
never suffered in a good way.
Um, well, I can't think of an instance in which someone made a statement where the word or the suffering described, an objective or a positive state. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah.
So cool. So it's definitely a negative situation. So
Well,
suffering.
well, I don't know. I Suffering never carries a positive connotation. However, I've often said I suffer in the name of my art, meaning there are certain things that I've done to finish a song. To For the most part, it was with music, and sometimes when I was having my deep dark bouts with depression, I would
Mhm.
I would create my way out of the depression, through music. And
Mm.
what would happen would be I would be as I'm creating my way out of the depression, as I'm nearing the completion of the song, I start to I start to feel like I'm coming out of the depression. But I also know that me coming out of the depression means that I may not be able to finish the song. So I allow myself to remain in this depression so that just so I can finish the song. So I'm like, you know what? Sometimes I just got to suffer in the name of my art or in the name of my craft. But what I would do is there's also that light at the end of the tunnel, because since I realized that I'm creating my way out of it, I know I can come out of this. I know I can get out of this depression. So
Okay.
at this point now, it's
So I don't know. I mean, I know I get what you're saying, but I guess I'm thinking even technically, you're not suffering. You're using the pain.
well, it's still pretty painful. So I'm still suffering.
Okay, it don't have to be either or.
I'm just making I just have the option to suffer, and I'm choosing to suffer at this point.
Okay. Okay. So then we can jump to that. So you do believe that the suffering is 100% optional?
Yeah.
Would you
Yes.
say 100% of the time?
No.
Is it a thing where it's all about perspective, or is there a moment where pain supersedes perspective, and it doesn't matter how you look at it, this is gonna hurt, and you're gonna have to deal, and there's gonna be more to endure than there is to enjoy, regardless.
Well, I said no, not 100% of the time, but actually I take that back. Yes. I do think that it is, just because I believe that what this guy was saying, what he meant was this, what with this quote was, there is more to get from the pain. And if you just search for it, like I said in the beginning, the wisdom, the growth, if you're able to find this,
Okay.
then go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I'm saying okay.
Yeah, if you're able to find that wisdom and that growth in this pain, then I can see how you're no longer choosing to suffer. You're getting something from this. You're getting something out of this. But if you don't look for the wisdom, if you don't look for the growth, if you don't look for whatever positive opportunity that may present itself for you, if you don't see any of this stuff, then yes, you were choosing to suffer.
Okay. Hence the optional situation. So in
Right.
reference to suffering, so let's just say let's as if we were talking to somebody that's actually dealing with something right now.
Mhm.
What are the options for not suffering, for being in pain but not suffering? How do you navigate those options? What are they?
Well, we have to be very specific. What is it that they're suffering from, or
Well,
what is causing the pain?
I mean, do we have to be very specific? I mean, it
I
could just
think
be
so,
heartbreak.
because we have to start at one specific point in order to get to another specific point.
Well, I mean, but if it's about perspective, right? Then if it's about perspective, and your perspective is to always kind of, kind of burn to learn type of thing, where you let it burn so that you can learn regardless of the circumstance, then that's what I'm saying. Do we really have to be specific? But that's neither here nor there. Let's just say in heartbreak,
Mhm.
somebody just got dude just came home from a hard day of work, and he walked into the door, and it's like a TV scene, and you hear the sounds coming from the back room, and they walk in the back, and sure enough, wifey is doing the thing with another cat. So now he's heartbroken.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be crazy. But now, so what are the what would you say his options are at that moment?
At that moment, well, so he's going to be dealing with inevitable pain, of course, with that. But what is it? So now your options are try to figure out how to make this work,
Woo!
or
So suffering.
yeah, or learn from this, and know what to look for in your next relationship. I think either one of those situations. So if you're able to forgive her and to move on and to get past that, I know I said if I'm not listen, I'm not this ain't about you, this ain't about me. Because nah, you won, dog. You won. Right? You got it. You got it. The game is the game. You won.
Yeah.
But but if he is able to like truly move on, truly forgive her, then what he just had was a lesson in forgiveness. And she also received that same lesson.
Okay.
So there's growth there. There's wisdom. If um if he chooses to leave, but when he does leave, he's able to let go. And I'm talking about letting go of the bitterness, not taking baggage into the next relationship. And and he's able to build something with somebody in spite of what he just went through,
Right.
then he he exercised his option to not suffer.
So now, but wouldn't that be limiting the suffering? Because that's the other thing I was thinking about. Like, how are you just not? I mean, because you're not gonna make the choice in the moment unless it doesn't hurt, right? So if you walk into a circumstance and she's doing that and you actually don't care, then obviously there's no suffering to navigate. But oh, dang, I just lost my train of thought. I hate when I do that. I hate when I
But
do that. What was I just saying? Oh man.
well, let me say this, and maybe it'll bring it back for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Not caring, then if you don't care, that completely erases this whole quote.
Right. But what I'm saying, okay, that's what I was saying. But
You're welcome.
but, but what I'm saying, what I'm thinking is not optional. Like what's optional is the degree or the length of suffering, right? But if it's going to cause you pain, then there's going to be some suffering that's also, however temporary, it will exist. It's like when the words say, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." It don't say the weapon ain't gonna happen.
Right.
It's just not gonna prosper. So I'm saying, so it just seems like you're gonna suffer. If it hurt, then you're gonna suffer. At least, at the very least, immediately. And again, it may be temporary, but you're still gonna suffer.
The way I'm looking at it, suffering to me seems like a long-term thing. Like if I stub my toe, then I'm dealing with immediate pain, right? I'm only going to suffer if I continue to feel this pain. But if I hit it and I'm like, stub my toe, and then 5 minutes later I'm fine, I didn't suffer. I was just in pain for like 5 minutes, but I didn't suffer.
You're gonna have to tell me what the line is, because that 5 minutes it sound like you only suffered for 5 minutes.
Well, so now I guess it's a matter of perspective, because if you may think that it's suffering for 5 minutes, I may not look at it that way. I'm like, I don't see it as suffering. I think that it's suffering if the pain persists, then now I got to do something else about this. And then the option. So now if we're talking about the option of suffering, if I choose not to do the things that I need to do to fix this pain, I'm making the decision to suffer.
True enough, but how are you not making the decision to continue to suffer? Like that gap between the immediate pain of the incident and when you make a conscious decision, that's suffering right there.
Yeah, I think that's
mean, if you stub your toe and for the next 5 minutes you limping, the limp is an indication of you suffering from a stub toe.
Yo, but okay, and I think that's just going to be like a matter of perspective, because if you stub your toe and within 5 minutes you come to me and you tell me that you're suffering because you stub your toe, I'm gonna tell you, get your soft ass out my face. You're suffering. It's been 5 minutes. You're suffering.
Well, I mean, the irony of that, honestly, is that as you endure my whining and complaining, you're suffering.
And that's because you have become insufferable.
Well, I'm just saying, I think, because I really try. It's funny because, we go through this, and once we start to break things down and kind of unpack it, I'll start in one position. And then as we get in further, I have another mindset, or I'm at least entertaining, another mindset. Because initially I was thinking, yeah, it's definitely optional. If you choose not to suffer, even if it hurts, but you choose not to suffer, you choose to power through, then the suffering is optional. And then I'm like, wait a minute, it's more of how long you're going to suffer, not if you're going to suffer at all. Because you're going to suffer immediately. Any negative situation, well, almost any negative. Because like you said, if you truly don't care, you know what I mean? Because a person that you don't care about can't hurt you.
Right.
Just plain and simple. You know what I mean? So, but this obviously speaks to a situation that, that a person or circumstance to hold some value to you. Otherwise, it couldn't hurt you. So in that arena, pain is inevitable. But I don't know for sure that suffering is definitely optional. It's just the length of time and maybe the severity of it. You know what I mean? Because you can compound the suffering by, if you're suffering from depression and then you decide to drink alcohol, then you compound the situation. You know what I mean?
True. So, but that's the option that you're exercising at that point.
Right, so, but you're suffering already. Like, that's what I'm saying. You're suffering already. You're suffering from the depression, and then going further into drinking the alcohol, you're just compounding the suffering.
Right.
But you're suffering already.
Yeah, and you're making the decision to continue to suffer.
Continue to suffer would mean, again, that you're already suffering.
So the thing is, when you make the option to suffer, you are making a decision to not do anything about the pain.
Okay, but it's you were talking about it not being immediate suffering. Like you are not suffering just because you stubbed your toe. You're suffering because you chose to limp an hour later. But you are suffering immediately.
No, you're just hurting. But I mean, like, I see what you're saying, which is why I said earlier, I feel like it's just a matter of perspective. But I feel like suffering to me is more of an extreme case. So when something happens immediately, we haven't moved to that point of it being an extreme yet. It's just it's yo, I'm gonna give you, all right, check this out. I'm gonna say something that I kind of went back and forth about whether or not I was even going to share. Lorraine chimed in. She said, I agree. I'm so glad that you agree, Lorraine.
Wait a second.
What do you agree with?
What?
What do you agree with? Please tell us what you agree with, Lorraine.
You know what, Lorraine? Me too. Come on, give us something to work with here.
So I'm sure she will chime in. She will let us know, because
Yeah.
This woman can explain herself. So we just gonna sit there and wait for the explanation because she can explain herself. But no, all right. So I went back and forth about whether or not I was gonna share this because I was like, people gonna hear this and they're gonna think that I'm an absolute nut. They're not gonna believe. Yo, she said she agrees with you because she would never agree with me. I'll take that. Hey,
You know
listen,
what? I was just about to say. I'll take it. She said what she said. All right.
Yeah. Yep. And I agree with you, Lorraine.
Word up. Ignorant high five. Bam.
Ignorant high five. So, so one of the most powerful days of my life was the day that I realized that I could turn my emotions off, that I could stop feeling. Now,
oh boy,
I know. See, that's why I went back and forth about whether or not I was going to do this. But what happened was, somebody said something to me and it hurt me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just sitting with that pain for a second, and I'm like, this is uncomfortable. This is really, really uncomfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then something said, hey, Tyrell, stop feeling. Just stop feeling it right now. And I stopped feeling it. I know that sounds crazy, but I promise you, hey, God can snatch the breath out of me right now if I'm lying. Still breathing.
Why
Look,
do people do stuff like that?
What'd you say?
Why do you say stuff like that?
Which part?
God can snatch the breath out of me right now if I'm lying.
Because I knew it wasn't going to happen.
I'm just saying. But then now I got the visual, the possibility. All right, you trust you more than I trust you. Okay. So now I'm thinking about it. You just slumped over on the podcast. I don't appreciate the visual audio idea.
One time I said that to somebody, and like about 2 minutes later, I started coughing. They were like, "Yo, is that God snatching the breath?" but I made the decision in that moment. I made that decision in that moment that I wasn't going to suffer. That I wasn't even going to feel the pain anymore. And I was like, so when it initially happened, I was like, all right, I don't know if this was a fluke thing. I'm gonna wait till the next time somebody says something that's painful. I'm gonna see if I can turn those emotions off. And then it happened. Somebody said something, at a later date, and I was like, all right, Tyrell, stop feeling. And I just stopped feeling it. I stopped caring. And but I think that it was I want to see something. I'm gonna tell you what I honestly think was going on. Let me see. Okay, so not thought so. Okay, we only use about 10% of our brains, right?
Okay.
All right. That's 90% that we don't use.
Boy,
imagine if we could tap.
Okay.
What'd you say?
You are on it.
Hey, listen, I wasn't real good at math in school, so anytime I get a chance to show off my math, I'm gonna do it. So,
apparently,
but that 90% that we don't use, like imagine if we could tap into that 90%, right? So what I think happened in that moment, I went to 11. I went from 10 to 11, and I'm like, whoa, I think I'm starting to tap into parts of my brain that I don't normally do, that I don't normally tap into. I've had those experiences other times, like especially during creating. Like I will be creating something and it's almost like I'm sitting there and I'm looking at myself like, wow, you are amazing me right now. Because it's almost like I'm not in control. I honestly attribute that to God, honestly, because number one, it's a God-given gift, the way that I create. But also when I get to that point, it's
right.
like what?
Well, I'm just laughing at you as you gave God the glory and then took it right back.
No. I didn't take it right back. I have to speak as me. Like I gotta tell you what I'm doing.
Okay.
So,
I mean,
but it was almost like I'm just sitting there and I'm just watching God work. Let me put it that way. I'm just watching God work. But also there's the belief that, when you, boy, I'm about to get metaphysical and I don't know if we're ready to even go that deep. Honestly.
Look, you're going to say the words and you have to explain it, then just do that.
Okay, cool. I believe, metaphysically speaking, there are times where we can tap into our God mind, which is the direct connection between our mind and God's mind, right?
Okay.
That direct connection. And that is when I also believe we're starting to go past that 10% of our brain that we use, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly think when I experience things like that, that's why I said I went from 10 to 11. I'm starting to experience things that aren't normal.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't normal for me, to be able to, it's not normal for anybody just be able to just turn their feelings off. But I have been able to do that. Now, I also say this. I can't do that with everybody.
Okay.
Because there are certain people that the people that are closest to me, if they were to do or say anything that just devastated me, I can't just turn my feelings off and act like that doesn't exist. So, but other people, and I said the people that are closest to me, because there are other people that I have a really good relationship with that could do or say something and have done or said something. And I'm like, all right. And not only did I turn my emotions off, I cut them off too. Like it got to the point where I had to ask my therapist, is this a toxic trait of mine to be able
Mm-hmm.
to easily cut people off and act like they never existed?
Well, you know what though? I mean, just in reference to that, I don't think it has to be a personal situation. If an individual has communicated to you that they don't have a desire or a need for you, then it does not make sense for you to maintain availability. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
Just logically speaking,
Hmm.
facts over feelings. If you told me you don't need me, you don't want me, why am I still standing in line?
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's just no point in that. But I'm still saying that when it says the suffering is optional, I still think it's to a degree because you're going to suffer immediately from any pain, any discomfort, whatever the situation. You're
Hmm.
just not going to continue. You can make that decision to not continue to suffer, or you can make the decision to. You can even make the decision to compartmentalize it. Like I'm only going to the pain from this situation is only going to affect me here. But when I get to work, I'm gonna do my job. When I got to tend to my kids, I'm not gonna walk around the house with my chin on my chest because of what happened over here. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So you can compartmentalize it, but you are going to have to suffer like something for some period of time without fail.
So if you're suffering, hold on, I want to get to a comment real fast. So Shane, by the way, is the one that called you the bearded brother last week.
What's up, Shane?
But,
How you doing?
um, but Shane said this is an individual action / ability not afforded to everyone. Shane, I think I need you to tell me exactly what you were talking about. I
I
don't
think he's
remember.
talking about your ability to go stoic, based on the circumstance, right? So,
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
yeah, he's isolating that to you, which I would have to say I disagree. I think everybody, you're not going to be able to eclipse the pain, right? Or should I say, yeah, you can't really be proactive in every instance and eclipse it to where prevent it from occurring at all,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
Hence it being inevitable at some
Right.
point, right?
Mhm.
But I think everybody definitely has a choice to make. And now, well, okay, actually, I digress because then you get into a medical or clinical situation, the way certain people can't process things, which is just it's hard for me to understand because I'm a black and white individual. I think if you maintain any level of consciousness or comprehension that is communicable, right, then you have the opportunity to make a decision to go one way or the other.
Yo, can we have a quick sidebar real quick? Do you know, and this is driving me crazy, and I refuse to use this word ever again. Do you know that the word is actually pronounced communicative and not communicative?
I mean, who said that?
I don't remember, but I fact checked it and it was like it's communicative. It's not
Fact,
communicative. So
fact,
now I don't ever want to say the word because if I say communicative, it's going to sound like I'm saying something wrong because the rest of the world says communicative.
I mean, but fact check that against what?
I don't
Who'd you?
remember. I don't know.
How'd you do?
I don't know. I don't remember. No,
Okay.
I just
I
know I
mean,
fact checked it.
All right. Well, I mean, thanks for sharing, I guess.
No problem, man. That's what I'm here for. By the way,
Yeah.
Shane said he was talking about the quote, not what I said. He was talking about the quote.
Oh, well, fine then, Shane. I mean, I was trying to go ahead. Actually, I digressed myself because I did disagree anyway. Boom. So, so he says he disagrees with the quote.
No, hold up. I don't think he was saying he disagrees with the quote. Hey, Shane, let me know if you're saying that you disagree with the quote. He said this is an individual action / ability not afforded to everyone. Okay, maybe he is saying that he disagrees with the quote. In which case, you know what? I think it would be arrogant of me. Look, this time I'm putting arrogance on me. So I know I'm not putting arrogance on me because I
I
refuse
don't know
to.
why you preface that with this time. There's nobody watching or listening that thinks that you're not arrogant.
Yes, yeah, people they know I'm not arrogant. Anyway,
You're,
so
you're.
no. Hey, and we can have that conversation too, but we'll do it another time. But I've had the last person that told me I was arrogant. When I finished breaking down the word arrogant and breaking down who I am, they were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm the one that's arrogant, not you." So, but we can do that another time. Anyway,
Yeah.
but anyway, I forgot what I was about to say. Oh no, in relation to all right. So what Shane was just saying. So I think it would be arrogant of me to say that everybody does have the option because I can't speak for how everybody feels and the way everybody thinks. So I do agree with what Shane is saying here that it's an individual action / ability that is not afforded to everyone because no, let me say this. I don't know whether or not I agree with it because I can't say for a fact if everybody thinks this way or feels this way. I can't.
Okay. I mean, let's be honest. Nobody can ever say that everybody does anything. You can only speak to kind of the majority of what you've experienced.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Cool. But I think beyond being other other abled, if you will, like mentally, right? Beyond being beyond suffering from insanity, like true sickness, then I would say that this option, the option of continuing to suffer, is ever in place. You know what I mean? You're gonna suffer anyway. I'm sorry, I stand on that. At least immediately you're gonna suffer. And you deciding whether or not it's going to continue, based on you being your level of comprehension, kind of being available, making it available to you as an option.
The reason that I can't disagree with you is because when we look up the definition of suffering, it doesn't say anything about a length of time. That's just a personal thing for me. That's what I think. So I believe that suffering comes after. I think suffering comes with the decision. I believe that you're just in pain until the decision is made, and then the decision means you either suffer or you don't suffer.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
for me, it comes with the length of time, even though the definition doesn't say that. So um, I'll 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 talk to Webster and see if I can get that added to the dictionary.
Well, I mean, I think it's fair to say, and I'm not contradicting myself because I still believe that you're suffering right out the gate. But I think to be fair, it carries an implied length of time, or um, that it does go on for more than just a moment. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But as far as it being optional, again, definitely optional whether or not it continues. But Because it's not like you chose to, well, you didn't choose to have the accident and stump your toe. It's just gonna happen because that's what happens. And then you're gonna suffer immediately. That's it. So I don't. The option is applied to the continued suffering, but whether or not you're gonna suffer at all, that's not optional.
So Shane just said, y'all are saying exactly what I'm saying. The quote is so sure that everyone has the
Mhm.
ability mentally to make
Mhm.
suffering an option, which is not true. It's
Right.
based on the individual.
Okay. Okay.
So,
So, yeah. So I
well,
mean,
I'm not saying that I agree or disagree.
why not?
I'm because everybody may have the option to choose to not to suffer. I don't know.
I mean, pick a side. You got on a reversible jersey. What's going on?
That
Pick a
is my
side.
side.
What's your side?
I think that my side is I don't know. I don't know if everybody has the ability to make the decision because everybody may have the ability to make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
They just may have they may have the decision. So if they don't have I mean, if I can't talk to everybody to ask them about their suffering.
Well,
I
okay. Can one of these can the first part of this be true, like without the second part being true? Can it be true that pain is inevitable, but be false that suffering is an option?
um
Because I mean, anybody feeling pain, you are going to suffer immediately, but you have a choice after that.
mhm.
Like I would need an example of a case where somebody doesn't have the choice.
So let's say somebody dying from cancer,
Uh huh.
but yo, Justin,
Oh boy.
I know, but I wanted to bring him up for a reason. So Just did not suffer because if we look at the amount of growth and wisdom that occurred during all 7 or 8 times that he got cancer between
Mm-hmm.
the ages of 17 and 25, you got to understand this is somebody that said, I never asked God why me. I said, why not me? He
Mm-hmm.
said, I felt like I was going through this for other people. That's not suffering. That's not suffering. He never complained. He got cancer 8 times, never complained. He never complained. He was not suffering. I don't see that as suffering. And I honestly believe if we had the opportunity to talk to him right now, I don't think that he would say, I suffered. He may say, yeah, it was painful. It was definitely painful. But because of the way that I lived my life, and you saw all of the lives that he touched.
Right. Right.
And as a matter of fact, a lot of those lives that he touched was because he had cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and because of the man that he was and how he responded to the cancer. He understood that, look, life isn't about what happens to you, it's about how you respond to what happens to you. So in that moment, when he said that, I'm sitting there listening to him like, oh, we suffering because like you mean the world to us. You're like my little brother.
Right.
So yeah, I'm suffering and I'm making the decision to suffer because I'm not looking at this the way that he's looking at this. But he made the decision not to suffer.
Okay. So I mean, I would agree that he made the decision not to suffer, but it's only after the initial suffering. Like you agree for it not to continue. I cannot go on like this. I mean, because just if you experience pain at all, you suffer at the moment that you experience pain.
I don't know. Like again, it's just it's a timing thing for me, man. Like I'm like when I ruptured my Achilles, I didn't see it as me suffering. I was just in pain. I fell, I heard the pop, I felt the pop. I just sat there for a second trying to figure out who threw this rock at my ankle. Like I'm sitting there like, yo, somebody throw something at me. And then I find out that I ruptured my Achilles. And then it was like the doctor was like, listen, we can either do surgery or you can be in this cast and let it heal on its own for like the next 6 months. And I was like, I had a decision that I had to make. Okay,
Mhm.
let's go ahead and do surgery. So I went and I had surgery. After surgery, it was like, okay, what am I going to do? Am I just going to sit around and just be down in the doldrums because I can't move around? I couldn't drive. I could, although I did. No, no, no. I could drive because it was my left. I'm getting that in the calf muscle. I'd had too many injuries. I'm getting that in the torn calf muscle confused. but and I still drove. I wasn't supposed to, but I still drove when I tore my calf muscle. But that's between me and you. Ain't nobody listening. Anyway,
Yeah,
so I just drove with my left foot. I learned. I listen, but again, I had the option. When I was in the house when I tore my calf muscle, and that was my right calf muscle. And I'm sitting there and I'm in the house and I felt like I'm suffering at this point because I can't get out. This is driving me crazy, right? I made the decision to stop suffering and was like, you know what? This is a good opportunity to go learn how to drive with my left foot. So I made the decision to stop suffering.
True, but I mean, I agree with that 100% that you
Well,
can make that decision, but you do have to be suffering in order to make the decision to stop suffering or to not continue to suffer. So that part of it is it's not optional. The initial suffering is not optional. It is as inevitable as the pain.
but then there's growth there, and there's so now what has happened is if bid I was to rupture my Achilles again or tear my calf muscle again, um, there won't be any suffering of me just sitting in the house because I know now. Okay, I felt the pain, but I'm not going to suffer because see, the suffering didn't necessarily come from the pain. As painful as it was, I yeah, I got this high tolerance for pain, so I was able to just deal with it. But the pain didn't necessarily come. I mean, the suffering didn't necessarily come as a result of the pain. The suffering came from me feeling like, yo, I can't do the things that I need to do or that I want to do. That's the thing that was suffering. So now going forth, if for some reason I was to tear something again, I know I don't have to suffer this time.
Okay, you don't have to suffer this time. Hold on, meaning what? Meaning,
Meaning, I don't like all of the things that I thought I wasn't going to be able to do if it happens again. All of the things that I just sat around not doing initially when I first tore my
hmm
calf muscle. So all the things I
hmm
just sat around not doing that had me suffering, I now
hmm
know that I can do those things. So what I'm saying is I don't even if it happens again, I don't even have to get to a point where I'm suffering. I will get to a point, I will feel the pain, but I will not suffer. Because here's the other thing. The suffering, not only so part of the reason that suffering is optional is because we determine what suffering means to us. So for me, in that moment, suffering did not mean I'm in pain because of this torn calf muscle or this torn Achilles. Suffering for me was I can't do the things that I need and want to do. That was my suffering.
okay, okay. I mean, like I said, I'm solid on it that you definitely are going to make the choice, but I think initially it is as inevitable as of the pain. Otherwise, it's not a choice to make. What's up?
Shane is, let me tell you something. Shane is very intelligent, very articulate. Um, it's one of my favorite people to hear talk. right?
I feel like you're about to be ironic. Go ahead.
Shane's an asshole. Okay, Shane is an absolute asshole. He said,
Okay.
but that's also one of my favorite things about him. Okay, so Shane said, he said a few things. So some of this stuff I don't know what to connect it to, so I'm going to skip that stuff. I know he said, now you cooking. He said, we can end the show now. He said, now dope, you made the decision. Now look at my first comment. Not everybody has the option of being that strong-minded. But then this is where the asshole comes in. He said, finally, you got there. I'm a genius. not me, him. He's a genius.
I know.
Like
I
he led
follow.
me. Okay, all right. So
But yeah, definitely. I mean, I still think everybody has. I think if you can understand, like I say, beyond you being incapacitated mentally, having no comprehension of the pain. Beyond that circumstance, you do have the option to continue to suffer or not.
Or you have the option to suffer.
Well, yeah, you have the option as it relates to suffering, regardless. Whether you're going to stop it or whether you're going to allow it to move forward, definitely. But suffering at all, if because again, if it did not cause you pain, if it does not hurt you, if it holds no value, then there is no suffering. So we don't even have to talk about that. But given the situation that it does actually cause pain, that means it does matter. It is significant to some degree. It does hold some value. You are going to suffer immediately. That immediate suffering or that immediate pain is as inevitable as the pain itself.
So, all right, tell me this. Does all pain equal suffering?
Does all pain equal suffering?
Yeah.
So without being ridiculously particular, I will answer and say, again, also without the greatest amount of time to think about it, there isn't pain without suffering.
Okay, but does all pain equal suffering?
What do you mean by equal suffering?
So, if I feel any level of pain, does that mean that I'm automatically suffering? Check this out. Watch this. That hurt. Was I suffering?
Are you suffering right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's not about the length of time. It's about the did it happen or did it not happen? You know what I mean? So the pain, the essentially pain. To answer your question, pain is suffering.
I want to look at this definition again.
Well, actually, you know what? I digress. I won't say pain is suffering because you could make a decision based on pain that could have a ripple effect, and you could no longer be hurting, but still be suffering from decisions made based on that pain.
The definition says suffering refers to the state of experiencing pain, distress, or hardship. Cool. We got that, right? Whether physical or mental, and can manifest as anguish, misery, or agony. Now, let me say this. That hurt. Do you believe that I am experiencing anguish, misery, or agony as a result of that? You can say no.
Well, I that's my first instinct. My first instinct is to say no, but then, well, my initial and adjacent instinct is to look at the definition of anguish, which says severe mental or physical pain or suffering. So, no, um, I wouldn't have. I would have to say you weren't experiencing anguish specifically because it says severe, and that wasn't severe.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Brittany. Yes, you are late. We're about to leave. But on the bright side, you're early for next week's show. So just stay.
We won't be here though. Not
Not
until next week. You will have to hold it down.
But I promise you, we're coming back.
Absolutely. But to answer your question, I would say no. Okay, I think I understand that. Can you pluck yourself one more time though? You know what? It's funny because that finger is actually quite powerful, turned up like this. But nobody plucks with. Do you pluck with the middle or do you pluck with the index?
I don't know. I'm not really a plucker. And and my parents didn't really do that to me. Like mom wasn't a mother plucker or nothing like that. I mean, it just it didn't.
I had to let you get it out. I know.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I had to let you get it out. I was waiting for something about mother plucker, or you out your plucking mine, or I know who I'm talking to. What I'm saying?
Corey, what's up, bro? What's going on, man?
Oh, do they know what time we start the podcast? All right. Well, cool. I think that was some interesting perspectives. Definitely, kind of turning it slow and looking at it from a variety of angles. I can appreciate that. So, and again, with that last illustration, and suffering kind of referring to a severe situation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I digress.
Cool. So, I mean, can you say that a different way? Can you say I'm right?
Can I say what?
Never mind.
Exactly.
You're not going to say it. I know.
Exactly.
That is both thinking it though.
That is not what I said. And you know that. You know I'm not thinking that. Well. So, all right. Well, cool. That was good. I think I was. Go
ahead. So, okay. Real quick, Corey said, I just logged on and no, pain does not equal suffering, bro.
Okay.
So he agrees with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Pain does not equal suffering at any point.
No, I can't say it at any point.
Oh boy. We just started another part of
the
show.
Know. I was about to say, here we go, another hour now. No, we're not doing another hour.
No, we're not, because I'm going to bed. I told you I had the code at the beginning of the show. I don't appreciate you not considering that.
I did consider that, which is why I'm about to let you go now. And I'm going to send you some remedies too. I want you to feel better soon.
Oh, well, I don't want to take no gummies, dude.
No, I wasn't going to say gummies.
I'm sorry. Force a habit.
I do have some though. Like this.
All right. So, are you gonna give him your quote now, or
okay? I'm trying to figure out. I was having a conversation with somebody earlier today, and I realized that I didn't have my quote for today. Right. Mm-hmm. So I was like, "It's cool. I got time. I'll figure it out." And I was talking to them about I don't remember what I was talking about, but I said to them, so this would be an original quote, should I decide to do this quote next week, but as for right now, this is what it'll be. I may change it though.
Jesus.
And I gotta remember what I said, but I said something about, I realized that there are a lot of things that I need to change, but I have not been convicted enough to change these things.
Okay. So you're saying that's the quote?
Yeah, as of right now, but I can I can go pretty deep with that. It's kind of like, you know how people say God ain't done with me yet.
Right.
Okay, so
They
for me,
normally say that because they're doing something that they know is wrong and have decided to do it anyway.
which is exactly my point.
Okay.
Like I know that there are areas where I need to grow, but I haven't been convicted enough to do it yet.
Okay. So I guess we're gonna talk about why.
Maybe
Yeah.
because I
Most
may wake
people.
up
Most
tomorrow
people.
morning and decide I'm doing another quote. I don't know, but as for right now, that's what it is because I didn't prepare. It's like school all over again.
All right. All right. Well, it is what it is. No worries. No worries.
Yep.
And we can keep it nice and loose, fancy free up in this piece. No problem.
Mhm.
But
Oh, now I have to do it because Brittany said that's real. I'm gonna make sure I'm on the next time. All right. So because of that, Brittany, we're gonna stick with that quote.
now let's be honest. Just because the most recent events, we don't have to make that part of the quote or that quote part of the show till about 9:50. That's when Brittany hogs on.
Oh. Hey, Brittany, you ain't got to take that. Brittany, you're gonna be here. You're gonna be here one time next week.
So I won't worry. I won't worry about that till a little later on. Yeah. So, but all right, cool. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. This has been another episode of Quotes and Mirrors. We greatly appreciate your comments, your commentary,
and your uncommentary.
I baited you. Nice.
I will edit this video.
Huh?
I said I will edit this video.
Yo, that is the corniest threat ever. Yo. But all right. Well, yeah, we appreciate y'all. I'm sorry. I'm feeling a little under, so we are gonna go ahead and wrap it up. But
yeah, man, you've done enough suffering tonight. So
but great show as always. We thank you for showing up, for listening in. We'll be here next week, as of at 9:00. As always, we'd like for you to be here at 9:00 too. That'd be great.
Yo, so real quick before we end, two things. Number one, again, y'all, we got the Quotes and Mirrors book that is going to be coming soon. So it's 25 original quotes from me, 25 original quotes for Uncommonterry. And that sounds weird calling you that anyway.
It's okay.
Yeah, but and then brief explanations of those quotes. So we're actually finished writing the book. It's just now we got to put it. We're done.
I think we should make it like a workbook of sorts.
Is it a workbook
of sorts, so they can elaborate as well? You know what I mean?
Okay,
we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
So, yeah. But okay, what was the second thing?
Second thing is last week when I tried to end the show, for some reason it just wouldn't end, and they did something over here. So for everybody that stayed around and laughed the last time because I couldn't end the show, I'm gonna cuss somebody out. So we're gonna try to end the show this time. But I swear, I'm telling you, if it happens again and I have too much trouble, I'm turning the lights out and I'm walking out, and this thing will just be airing until next Monday.
It's cool. It's like when you go to the movies and you get the extras, you get the outtakes during the credits. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, if it doesn't work, I'm gonna take my ass out of this room.
All right. Well, cool. This has been Quotes and Mirrors. I am Uncommonterry.
And I'm Tyrell James. And on that note, and I quote, peace out.